This is my read aloud. Listen as I read the poem Song by Donald Justice. Morning opened like a rose, and the snow on the roof rose color took. Oh, how the street toward light did leap, and the lamps went out. Brightness fell down from the steeple clock to the row of shops, and rippled the bricks like the scales of a fish, and all that day was a fairy tale, told once in a while to a good child. Now I'm going to model my think aloud, so I would have the students follow along with me as I read and modeled my think aloud. Look at the poem Song. Follow along with me while I read this one stanza poem. Morning opened like a rose. I know that when flowers bloom, they open up. So I think this is a simile comparing the opening of a flower to the sunrise of a morning. And the snow on the roof rose color took. Since the word snow is in these lines, I'm inferring that it's winter time. I also remember that in the first two lines we compared the sunrise to an opening rose. So the snow is reflecting the rose color sunrise. Oh, how the street toward light did leap, and the lamps went out. I remember that we're talking about a sunrise based on the first line. I can also infer that the light from the sunrise is spreading from the rooftops to the streets below them. Brightness fell down from the steeple clock to the row of shops. Based on the word fell, I can infer that the sunrise is spreading quickly. Also, I have inferred that this poem is based on a small town. The description of the steeple clock and the row of shops makes me think that this might be occurring on a main street in a small town. And rippled the bricks like the scales of a fish. Wow, this is a really interesting line. I'm inferring that the sunshine has finally reached the brick sidewalk below it. But what's most fascinating about this line is the simile. The sunlight rippled the bricks like the scales of a fish. I know that when I watch fish swim, their scales seem to shimmer in certain places because of the way that they move through the water. So I think it's comparing the way the light and the water reflect off of fish scales to the way that the sunrise is reflecting off of the bricks in the small town that we're talking about. And all that day was a fairy tale, told once in a while to a good child. I see a comparison in this line, but it doesn't use the words like or as, so I can infer that it's a metaphor. The day was a fairy tale. Okay, so it's comparing the word day to a fairy tale. As I read, I explained my thinking regarding the inferences I was making. I also thought about the figurative language in the poem and what it actually meant. The figurative language helped me to make inferences as I read. Why was it important for me to analyze the inferences that I made and the figurative language that I found? Why is it important for you to do the same thing while you read?